Everyone's busy. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. I'm Ryan Peterson, the Battalion Chief of the Fire Department. So we're going to take the opportunity today, hopefully, to answer some questions for each of you, give you some recommendations. The main thing, we just want all of you that are here to understand and recognize that we value the relationships that the city has, and I'm sure Mayor Bruns will touch on that. And just want to give you everyone an update on our efforts in fire prevention and investigation, obviously, with the recent arson cases that we've had involving construction projects. So at this point, we'll turn it over to Sergeant Randy Crowther, who is leading the investigation. With each one of us that speak, we will take questions. We'll give you the opportunity to ask questions. If you have questions that are specific to your project, if you would just touch base with one of us after, and we can address it. But if you have general questions that impact everyone, feel free to ask those, and we'll open that up. And Sergeant Randy Crowther.
Hello and welcome. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy lives to come and talk to us today. I will update you a little bit on what's gone on and what's going on, but we're not going to connect a lot of dots, and I'm not going to get into the investigation and the details of it for obvious reasons. It's a criminal investigation. We're not going to touch on evidentiary issues that could give our information that we're trying to work away. So I'm going to give you an overview of what we've got. I'm not going to connect any dots, and I'm not going to give you any ideas of where it's going, but it'll give you an idea of what has happened, and then we'll move on from there about what we're going to be doing in the future from a prevention standpoint and from a city standpoint. So backing up to the night of December 19th, the morning of December 20th, we had an event at a gas station where some criminal mischief and some attempted arson took place. It was intentionally done, and it was a distraction for law enforcement and fire officials. While they were responding to that event, a large residential construction project went up within eyesight of the first event. We self-dispatched, we sent units there, we eventually put that fire out, we investigated it, and under the fire marshal's direction, we've determined that that is an arson event. We believe that that other item that we were on prior to this dispatch was somehow related as a distraction. We fast forward to the night of February 4th, the morning of February 5th. We had a Provo City police car that was ignited intentionally on the side of the road. Public street, totally accessible to anyone that wants to walk by. While we were investigating that fire, another large construction project went up within eyesight. We contained that fire, we've investigated that fire, and we've determined that that was to be intentionally set. I won't get into how we know that, I won't get into what we found, but all of these fires are intentionally set. And that's where we are. I'm not going to allude to leads, directions, or information that we have. I'm simply saying that we have now had 4 events and that they are all intentionally set human caused. Any questions that I can try to answer, I will make an attempt to without giving too much information. Anybody? Right?
I don't know how.
Okay. In the wake of the second fire, we have put together state assets. We've got some federal assets on board to help us, and all of our local assets are completely dedicated to getting through all leads that are available. All investigative efforts are being made, and we will chase every possible bit of information that we get with the assistance of those other agencies to come to a positive conclusion of this investigation. Somebody else have a question?
I just wonder if you could tell us on like how they're starting the gasoline.
It's too early to say. We have samples sent out for the labs to check that, but I can't say for sure. But I will say that they're intentionally set human-caused fires. It's not like construction companies or construction sites are lighting themselves. Okay. Yes?
Do you think this is multiple people or one individual?
I'm not going to comment on whether it could be a multiple or a single individual. Yeah.
Do you know whether or not this latest fire, if they had full-time security or not?
That I'm aware of, they did not have full-time security, no. Anyone else? Okay. Chief Peterson, I guess I'm going back to you so that we can talk about what we're doing from a prevention standpoint. Thank you.
Okay. Everyone, if you didn't get the handout, we'll go over it. And also, the information that you have in your packet, we will be distributing additional information tomorrow via email and mail, I believe, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay. So the main thing is, from the fire department, fire prevention right now is our priority. Fire prevention is always a priority for us, but in light of these two incidents, we have doubled our efforts on preventing any additional loss of property or life, namely projects that are under construction. As Sergeant Crowther mentioned, they have multiple investigative assets assigned to the investigation. We have implemented multiple prevention strategies in conjunction with law enforcement. We also have our operations personnel in the fire department that are doing extra patrols of construction sites throughout the city. We have our firefighters in the late evening hours. They're also patrolling construction sites and saturating the area. And the intent is to get visible, and hopefully the person or persons, if they are in the area, that will be a deterrent to them. Again, law enforcement is also saturating the area. So that is going to be the visible effort that we're making. But again, we have all of our resources on preventing any further loss for all of us in the city of Orem. In order for our prevention efforts to be successful, it will truly take the cooperation of all of us, to include the fire department, the police department, the citizens, the public that commute through our city, as well as all of the construction companies. It is going to be a global effort in order for us to be successful. The recommendations that are on the packet and that you will receive later on, they are not mandated. They are simply recommendations and some tools and strategies that you can implement to assist in the prevention efforts. And so we'll go over a few of them. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any questions if you need clarification on some of these tips or why we're recommending them. So keep the construction sites clear for fire department access. Obviously, if we have a delayed response, fire will occur more damage. So make sure that we have access, understanding that a lot of you already have perimeter fencing in place, and we don't expect you to remove a portion of that so that we always have access. We want the perimeter fencing to remain in place for security purposes. If we do have to access the site, we can get through the fencing. Okay? And again, the perimeter fencing, it's a simple deterrent, but it is the first step into preventing anyone from accessing your construction projects. And so that would be the first recommendation. Obviously, the private security. We understand the financial implications with that, but again, it's a recommendation that we would make. Having live bodies on site is probably the greatest deterrent if you're able to accommodate that financially in your projects. If you have any suspicious activity or persons, after the fire in December, one of the projects in town, the project manager was confronted by a person they didn't recognize and kind of struck them as, why are they here? They asked some questions that kind of tipped their interest, and they immediately called us with that information. So if you have people that are congregating, loitering around your construction sites, or your employees feel that it's suspicious or out of the ordinary, please call law enforcement and let them know. Let law enforcement determine if that's a lead that they need to follow up on. As far as flammable liquids, again, this is more of a house cleaning thing. We don't want to give anyone the opportunity and make anything easier for anyone, so as well as code. But the main thing is, obviously, with your construction equipment on site, if you have large containers of anything flammable, the recommendation is just keep that secure. Don't make anything easier. Probably one of the greatest and least financial impact would be lighting your projects in the evening hours, whether you use a large construction lighting or not. And of course, having it lit up may be a deterrent for someone out of fear that they would be seen rather than in a dark area. The two projects that Sergeant Crowther referred to, they did have lighting in the area, but the buildings that were subjected to the fire, the person or persons we're able to somewhat easily navigate in and out without being seen. So if you're able to light your construction projects up, especially the access points, that's a great deterrent as well. During construction, obviously, fire hydrants may or may not be in service. Of course, our first recommendation would be that once a fire hydrant is connected to the system, is to get it serviceable. But if for some reason there's a problem and that hydrant is not accessible or usable, we would ask you to please cover it with a bag, just a garbage bag, and tape over it. That signifies to our operations personnel that that hydrant can't be used for water. Without that, if they hook up to a hydrant that doesn't have a water supply, again, that's going to delay our operations. So we would ask you to cover those until they are operational. And your construction equipment, of course, we don't want any loss of property, but if we can minimize ancillary damage to equipment, which we have suffered on the two previous fires, it minimizes your loss. It also provides easier access for our fire personnel to fight the fire. Okay. The other thing that we would recommend, aside from the security perspective, is not just the installation of security cameras, but the installation of visible security cameras. The security cameras will assist Sergeant Crowther and law enforcement in their investigation, but if persons are able to see visible security cameras, that is a great deterrent for them. So the installation of visible cameras as well as signage throughout your construction project, that you have either on-site security, or you have security camera or security mechanisms in place. And again, what we're shooting for here is deterrence until law enforcement is able to successfully complete their investigation and apprehend the responsible persons. So all of our efforts right now are preventing any additional loss of property or life. Okay. Is there any questions that I can answer for anyone? Yes.
How are you determining which sites you're going to increase surveillance on, or have your officers drive by? Is there a list or something we can get on to make sure that our particular sites are included in that drive-by, or how are you coming up with those areas you want to increase your surveillance at?
Great question. Our development services, they have mapped all the projects throughout our municipality that are currently under construction. Law enforcement, as their call volume and staffing allows, they are doing extra patrols. Our fire personnel, right now, we have concentrated on the bigger projects that are essentially in line with the two previous cases that have occurred. If you have a project specifically, again, if you'll talk to us afterwards, and that's something that we'll do. So not only do we have our fire department going out during the evening, but we've asked our paramedics and the ambulances, anytime they're commuting back from the hospitals during the evening or early morning hours, to also please commute through those areas of the construction sites. Again, simply as a visible deterrent. And we may catch a lucky break at that point. But we have mapped all the projects under, and so we're doing our best to get everything. Okay? Anything else I could answer for you? Yes.
Sorry, I was a little bit late. Do we think this is the same guy in Provo at all?
We aren't going to comment on the investigation, the current state of ours. And of course, we don't have a representative from Provo. So we'll just say that our investigators have been and will continue to work with Provo as they continue the investigation.
Chief, if I may just add something to what you've already commented about, particularly vehicles, equipment, garbage containers. The amount of heat that comes off these things is absolutely unbelievable. At our project, 200 feet away wasn't far enough for vehicles or anything else. So the further away from your buildings, the better. Sometimes, we park 80, 100 yards away, and you might as well have a park next to the building. So understand that porta potties, all ours were mounted at 80 yards away, just totally melted. So that's something I want you to keep in consideration when you clean the equipment.
And everything on site is going to be susceptible to the radiant heat, which can be significant in these larger fires. So again, as much as you can back things away. The flyer that the city will distribute later this week will have more recommendations. Along those lines, if you have waste dumpsters on site, keep those emptied on a regular basis and keep those away. So again, we'll have many more recommendations on the updated flyer. Okay. Again, we just want to let everyone rest assured that we are doing everything we can to prevent any additional loss of property. Okay? If there's no other questions, I'll turn it over to the Chief of Police, Gary Giles.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to answer a couple of your questions as well in my own way. As far as, for example, what do we think as far as with Provo? We are working closely with them. We are going to treat this as a separate incidences, no matter what, because we want to look at it as separate, but we are working in conjunction with them. So we'll determine whether or not it is based on working with them, looking at these as separate incidences. The uniqueness of the two that we've had here, and fortunately there's only two that we're looking at, is that they were both apartment complexes that were under construction. And we had an event preceding them, which was another fire that was set a short distance away. All we can do is make some assumptions that these are somehow related. We are looking at several different leads. We've hit some dead ends on other leads because what we have to do is exhaust. But we're getting leads every day on Facebook. We're getting them through other sources, and we've had different leads already that we've taken. We've been able to go and at least hit that dead end or at least exhaust that lead. And so we're going to go down all those different pathways as we get those until we exhaust them. If we hit a dead end to where we just don't know whether or not it's a lead, we'll wait there until we can proceed further with it. But we're going to look at every one of the leads, and we're going to take them until we can absolutely say this is not the direction that we need to go. So as far as working with Provo, as far as dealing with any other agencies, certainly we're going to look at the county. We're going to look at everything we possibly can. If anybody's moved into our area that has a history of arson, we're going to look at all of that and make sure. Some of the other questions that I think there was one that was asked: did they have security? On both of these fires, we actually were dispatched to the other fire, and our fire personnel actually saw these other fires while they were responding or returning from the other fires. And so we're not exactly sure what the situation was, but it does not appear that there was security at the time of the fire. So that's something that definitely helps us. One of the things we want to ask of everybody is just to be vigilant. If they're in a vehicle, let's get if somebody calls in a suspicious vehicle, a lot of times that is what solves it. We could go case after case on whether it's arson, whether it's a shooting, whether it's whatever, nationwide. Sometimes they were solved by the most simple thing of a suspicious vehicle that was called in, and there's your link. And we get some major case that was solved because somebody just happened to be parked, and somebody saw them parked in a place that was just out of the ordinary. And that's what we ask of you guys. Now the question came as to how can I make sure that I'm on that list? What we've done is we've taken all of the different construction sites, but we'd be more than happy to field your call to make sure that you're on the list. I will tell our dispatchers, they definitely have a list of what we're extra patrolling. Our officers are certainly going to, they know the areas. They're there every night. They know the areas well. They know what's under construction. We want whoever's doing this as bad as you guys, if not worse. So they know where these construction sites are, but more than happy to if you call 229-7070. Just ask dispatch, or at least maybe what you need to do is just tell them, because I don't know that I want to give the information out on what sites we are, that we're actually extra patrolling, but just give that information to them, and they'll make sure that you're on the site, on the list. So if you have any questions to that, 229-7070, and then we'll make sure that you are on the list. And I'll tell dispatch after this meeting just to expect some phone calls just in case.
Is there a common time of night that it was?
It's late into the night so far, so the early morning hours, I guess we could say. What times were they? The first one?
100 to 300.
So the first one was about 1 o'clock in the morning. The other one was about 3 o'clock in the morning. So definitely in the middle of the night when no one else is around has been the theme so far, at least on the two that have been here in the city. So one of the things that we definitely want to do. And this is one of the things I want to just lead a discussion with you guys. I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are construction companies, other interested parties in this. One of the things that we would like to do, and we're still trying to decide how, is to offer a reward. But I would like to lead a little bit of a discussion with you. I'd like some feedback on that as far as how to go about doing that. Is that something that some of your businesses, and you don't have to answer necessarily now, but is that something that some of the businesses would be interested in putting up some reward money as far as We could manage that and have, just team up with some of the construction projects to offer some reward money out there. Sometimes that motivates people that may have some information that may not have otherwise come forward. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I'll put $1,000 up, Bruce matches it.
Well, I think the private security companies should put up reward money. Doesn't that make sense for them to do it?
That's what I want to be discussing on, so.
Well, I'm thinking we'd offer our project as a sting operation. We're gonna go put double insurance on it and then turn all the lights off and let you guys, we'll see if we can't test it. No, I'm serious.
I won't comment to that.
It's just too.
You know, that's something, and like I said, we don't need to commit to anything right now. That's something that we certainly are going to be looking at either way. But we would like to partner with you as much as possible, and if that's something that you'd be interested in, what I would suggest, and in fact, I'll just put this number out there for any of you that are interested in it. My secretary's number is 801-229-7062, and I'm sure she's not going to be very happy with me after giving out the number, but I'll talk to her afterwards, and if any of you are interested in that.
Do you find that it's effective to do a reward, and if so, is there kind of a range of how much?
And that all depends on who is doing it. If it's someone that, if there's a group of people, certainly, because somebody's going to give up somebody else. They are. And if somebody knows about it, they'll give up somebody else with the right motivations. We work cases all the time. In fact, we have a website that the Facebook page we like to call Tattletale Tuesday. We have great success with that. We put out some photos, surveillance photos, things like that. People love to be involved. Sometimes their motivation is just to be a good citizen. Other times you have a criminal element involved that they don't want to rat out their buddy. Sometimes it takes a little bit of motivation with rewards. What that right amount would be, it's hard to tell. It's hard to say. But if we put out some kind of reward, and like I say, we are looking at that, and what we have available is to be able to do that ourselves as well. But any help that we can receive and partner up with you guys, that's the thing that's important to us is we are a part of the community too. We're doing everything we can, and I know that there's some information that we can't release today, and I know that's frustrating sometimes, but I hope you understand why. That we're looking into some leads that sometimes we have to have a little bit of an upper hand on with not divulging that information. I hope you guys understand that. Some of it we hit a dead end, like I said. You know, we don't necessarily want to put out there who we're looking at or what, because sometimes we do just hit that dead end, and we don't want to disgrace somebody's good name that we hit the dead end with that didn't do it. And so some of those things we can't necessarily just divulge all over the place. But I can assure you that we are looking into every single lead that we are getting, and we are getting some on a regular basis. A lot of them are just, you ought to look at this guy or you ought to look at that guy, and sometimes that takes a lot of time and resources because we do have to start at the beginning. We don't have good information, we just have information on a person, and that's what we do want those, we do. But sometimes when I say that we're getting a lot of leads, sometimes that's what we're getting is just people that are suspicious of a neighbor or a person that they've heard through the grapevine this or that, and that's perfect, that's what's going to solve this case, but it takes time. And in the meantime, we want to assure you that we're going to do everything we can. We're going to extra patrol the businesses, but we also ask you guys as well, and that's why we're here, is for us to discuss as partners, is what could we do, what can you do to help secure your own sites, as well as what we're going to try to do to help you secure the sites. Unfortunately, I can't, you know, my officers can go and they can extra patrol, and I even have them walking through it on occasion. Last night I was very, very happy as I went to work out. I got in my car, I came to the station late at night, and I heard some of my officers were actually out of the site. They parked down the street, walked in, and were actually patrolling one of the sites on foot. That's what I want them to do. I want them out there doing that kind of stuff. But they have to leave there at some point to go to the next one or to go to another call. And that's why we need to partner with you guys, because it's not very difficult for someone to come by and see some place that's dark and unsecured that they don't have a chance to get into. Yes?
Chief, do you want us to contact you if we have full-time people on site? Provo City swarmed that project in Edgemont last night, because they had a guy going around spotlight all night long in a circle, and somebody was suspicious. Does it help you in us contacting you and letting you know that, yes, we've got full-time security people there throughout the night?
It wouldn't be bad to know. We're going to try and check them anyway, and we'll try and stop by. it would be nice to know if you have full-time security, but by no means does that mean we're just not gonna come by anymore. So if you do go with full-time security, it would be nice to know, and you can call our dispatch again at 229-7070, that same list that we're gonna keep. Just let them know, hey, we have full-time security, but be assured that we're not gonna just say, okay, you're on your own. We'll keep doing what we do. Maybe we'll check by with the security guards and just make sure they're there, things like that. But if you'd like to let us know that, that'd be great. For the most part, our officers are gonna figure that out, because hopefully when they go by, they'll see a car or they'll see a person or something like that, to where our guys are gonna get out and check with them, and then they're gonna find out pretty soon. So it doesn't take long before my officers figure out that there's full-time security. But if you would like to, that'd be great if you just call dispatch and let them know. Thank you. Any other questions for me?
Could you give us the addresses of the two incidents?
We had one at about 875 North State.
Correct.
And then this second incident was 420 South Orem Boulevard. And both of the peripheral incidences, one was just north of the 920 North State at a gas station just north of there on State Street. The other smaller fire on the police car was just west of that location on 400 South. So, kind of, we're trying to look at what the rhyme and reason is to the two locations. Some of the things that can be asked. I heard it asked earlier. Do we think there's one person, multiple people? That we don't know. We don't know what the motivation is for the fires yet. All we know is that we think that they were intentionally set. And we'll look at any type of motivation. We'll look at anybody as far as being a possible suspect. But like I say, I think what typically solves these kind of cases is vigilance and people calling in and saying, hey, this car was driving slowly by, and this is the license plate number. Gives us somebody to look at, and guess what? Next thing you know, we find the suspect. And so that's what we need from you. If you decide to go with cameras, I know there are many different businesses, and we're not standing behind any particular ones. If you look at private security, there are many different private security businesses. You guys make that choice, and they, as far as what you do, but what we would ask is that as much as if you put cameras out, if you put security out, if you do it yourself, if you just have a nephew that you put on site, make sure that they understand what they're looking for. Make sure they have communication with us. Make sure, that's a deterrent is definitely when they can see that a project is lit up, when they can see that the fencing is around, when they can see that there's on-site security. Every single step you take is going to be a deterrent to this person or these people. So, and like I say, we don't know what that motivation is right now.
Were both of these ones in similar phase of construction, meaning that a lot of the framing was up?
Can you answer that?
They were in similar phase of construction.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, what level of annoyance to the neighborhood do you think that we should eliminate or we can increase? Like, can we put so many lights up that it's just, our whole project is lit up, but it's gonna obviously leak over into the neighborhoods? Is that a concern? And the second question is, having vehicles that have flashing yellow lights, that are caution lights, or, you see construction companies that have them on roads and you slow down for it. Can we leave vehicles with those lights going all night?
We do have codes that pertain to, I guess you could say light pollution in a sense. We do have codes that pertain to, I couldn't quote you on exactly what they are right now. My thought would be, my first comment would be, as long as the neighbors aren't annoyed by it to a point, then look at it. If we get people to call in and they're complaining about it being too bright, then we can come talk to you and we can say, hey, look, maybe it's a little bit too bright. Cautious at this point is probably, they're temporary. And I can't give you an overall sweeping answer to that saying that, that's great, because each individual case may affect a neighbor on a different basis, and we can't necessarily answer that right now. But if you put the lights up and they're a problem, we'll get with you and we'll work with you to bring everybody in to be to be happy, because we want you to be able to build this building and get it finished. But at the same time, we've got to look at the neighbors, and so if we have to be that intermediary to come and help figure out where it is, we're more than happy to. So if you put it up and it's a problem, we'll come talk to you and we'll work with you and figure it out. You have a question right here?
It seems like they're burning them when they're at their highest point, but did they have roofs on yet? when
I
they-
don't believe they did. Did they have any roofs
One
on?
did, one did not.
Oh, so that didn't help. And what about, say, lighting up a room whether someone's there or not, to make it look like a person's there?
The more you can make it look like people are there, the more of a deterrent it's gonna be. The more questions somebody has, the more there's a light on, the vehicle parked, whatever, it's gonna look like there's somebody there, and that's more of a deterrent than nothing. So, there's good, better, best. That's probably good. There's probably better, and there's probably a best. But, you make the choices as to where you feel like that's gonna be, where you'd like to put that. So, any other questions? We are working very hard on this. We're working every lead, and I can assure you some of these detectives have been working night and day. Their day last week started at about 3 a.m. and it went until about 10 p.m. that day, and then it started again the next morning, and it's been going ever since. And so be assured that we are working very hard to try and capture whoever's doing this, but we need your help as well. We need more eyes and ears and feet on the ground for that matter. So thank you very much. Oh, also, I'm sorry, I'm being reminded, if you remember to get one of these little pamphlets, just has some different strategies and some different reminders of some of the things we talked about today. There's one in the back of the room for those of you. Some of you will be sending it through the mail, but just to make sure, some of you we may not have it on a mailing list, just make sure you grab one of these as well, okay? And we have somebody else, Mayor, you were going to speak next, so I'll turn the time over to Mayor Brunson. Thank you.
Appreciate Sergeant Crowther and Fire Battalion Chief Peterson, and appreciate Chief Giles. I was going to say, when this occurred last week, it was 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. I was lying in bed, sound asleep in my bedroom. I live up on the hill. My bedroom just lit up like bright day all of a sudden, and then nothing, and then all of a sudden it lit up a second time when the electrical fire and the explosion occurred. And I immediately jumped up, looked out my window, and I could see flames that appeared to be 20, 30 feet in the sky, maybe higher. I remember I rushed down to the fire as soon as I could get there. When I was down there, I met with Battalion Chief Peterson and met with Chief Giles. I just want to mention it's important to us as a city that our people are safe, those that protect us. And as I watched them fight the fire, we had a fireman up on top of the ladder, the very top of the ladder, hanging out over the edge of a building, trying to protect it, shooting water over into the fire itself. We had other people that were around there trying to protect that area. There were a lot of spectators there. Luckily, I haven't heard of injuries, but it's important to us that our fire and police are protected, and we hate to see this kind of thing occur. I just wanted to tell you that we value very much the safety of our residents and of our fire and police within the city and our city workers. We value the buildings and the structures that are here in the city. We're appreciative of the new apartments that are going up and of the confidence in the city of building and new construction. We want to keep that safe. I know after the first fire occurred on North State, about 2 nights later, I drove around, and in one particular complex that was going up, there were breaks in the fence where anybody could walk in. There was only about a quarter of that particular project lit up, the rest was dark. I think it's important, and one of the reasons we're holding this meeting today is that we need to take this serious. We have someone out there or some group of people out there that have some reason why they want to light fires and burn up complexes that are being built. It's very important that we take this serious, that we be preventive, that we're proactive, and that we do everything we can to keep these structures as they're being built safe and out of harm's way. So again, the things that they've talked about, increased security, increased lighting, increased protection. There are many different things that can be done. I think it's important that we do those. I think now's the time to really pay attention to what's going on. This has an impact on you who are building these apartment complexes, obviously. We don't want to see that occur. It has an impact on the city from a financial and a confidence standpoint. This is a great place to live, a great place to do business and to build new structures. We want those to continue. So we would just ask for your help that this that this be taken very seriously, and that each one of you that are building a new project do all that you can. I remember one time a long time ago, my home where I was living caught on fire. It's not a fun thing, and you can have a situation where people get hurt. We don't want people to get hurt, and we want to find the perpetrators of this. So please help us, please keep your eyes open, and please do everything you can. And I appreciate you very much being here. I don't know if there's any questions for me. I don't know that I'm going to have the expertise of the police or fire, but I will take any questions that somebody has. Okay, well, again, I thank you very much for being here. Let's work together on this and put a stop to it. Thank you.